I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review. This is a review for Eric, and it's a PayPal request. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any review, reaction, movie topic, pretty much any type of video, you request it, either send it directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is a request for The Duellists from 1977. Now, this was Ridley Scott's first film. Now, this is a guy who previously had done a lot of TV commercials, but he's like, man, I can't get a foot in Hollywood, so let's find a script I can do, a lower budget movie. Apparently, everything in the film there was no sets. It was really there. And if that's the case, he really did make it look like, France, back in the 1800s. So apparently he shot real locations, and it's a good looking film. Some really nice wide shots of the landscape. And then funny enough, after this, he went on to do Alien. And then Ridley Scott's career really took off. So it was interesting to finally see Ridley Scott's first film, and it's a pretty decent one. It's an interesting film. It's an interesting flick. Number one, the two actors I thought did a good job. You have Keith Carradine, who I like Keith Carradine, especially in a film called Southern Comfort. But he does a good job here as a guy who is with the military. Like I said, it takes place around 1800. This is around the days and times of Napoleon. And he's just doing his job. He's a messenger that is told to send a message to Harvey Keitel. Because Harvey Keitel was in a duel, stabbed this guy who apparently was related to the mayor. So of course people are pissed, and Keith Carradine is told to give this message to Harvey Keitel that, hey, you're under house arrest. But Harvey Keitel is a guy that gets offended very easily, and so that character will work in today's status, being offended way too fucking easily. He's like, you have insulted me and we must have a duel. And even Keith Carradine's like, what, are you serious? What the fuck? Like, he didn't say what the fuck, but in his mind I could read telepathically, what the fuck. And so they have a duel in which Keith Carradine is winning because he hits Harvey Keitel in the arm and punches him, but then Keitel's mistress gets on top and scratches his face. And that starts this obsession with Harvey Keitel throughout all the years, throughout like 15 years or so, where Harvey Keitel is so obsessed during the ups and downs of this war. Napoleon rises, Napoleon falls, Louis the 18th rises, and where he keeps 5 years later or 6 years later, we'll see Keith Carradine and want him for another duel. And Keith Carradine tries to avoid him, tries to like, are you serious? Why? or come on, we can't do this. And that's pretty much the story. And it was kind of interesting of how simple it was, because it doesn't have a whole lot of other subplots, and I'm kind of grateful for that. The only subplot is that later on, Teef Terradine falls in love, meets a girl, falls in love, gets married. But it's centered on this obsession with Harvey Keitel that keeps wanting to have these duels with Teef Terradine's character. Now, with that said, you don't get a lot of Harvey Keitel's... I would say you don't get a lot of his point of view. Like, you don't get a lot of scenes where Harvey Keitel is by himself contemplating or getting pissed or angry, obsessed, why he's so obsessed and why he keeps doing this. And I guess I would assume there'd be like inner monologues about showcasing more of his obsession or his rage or whatever the fuck's going on in his life. But for the most part, it centers on Teef Terradine. And it does jump around a lot. So it's almost like a lot of little vignettes, like a lot of little segments, and then put together. And then in between each one, you get Stacy Teach narrating. Because I'm like, I recognize that voice. I'm like, oh shit, Stacy Teach from Road Games, which I love. He was in Escape from LA. He was in Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. The two lead actors, the duels being pretty decently filmed, seeing the nice countryside of France. Those three things are the strongest parts of the film. There were stuff that I wish they would have elaborated on, or I wish they would have done a bit more with, or like, for example, there's a moment where Teef Terradine gets injured and he can't continue, and then he's going to be trained by this fencing master. And I recognize the fencing master is W. Morgan Shepard. He played Vincent Talbot, the bad guy in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. But they don't really show a lot of Teef Terradine training with this fencing master, and I don't know why. They kind of show that he's going to train him, but then they don't really follow up on it. I think that would have been cool to see the training, seeing him progress to be better in the training. And then when you get to the next duel, it cuts to like near the end of the duel. Now, I get the point of that is to show that, wow, the next shot they're both bloodied up and they're tired, and pretty decent sword fighting for how tired they are, and then they're swinging wildly. But I guess part of me would like to have seen the full portion of that duel and how they got that bloodied up, and I did more of the... But, that's what Ridley Scott wanted to do. And I get his reason for doing that, but part of me just would have... Again, preferred seeing Teef Terradine get better at the fencing, and then the full portion of the duel. Yeah, that's just my own opinion on that matter. But, they'll have a duel on horseback. Years later, you think they don't have a duel, but then they help each other because it's in the snow. Some of their men are getting frostbitten, and there's these Russians, and they help each other fend them off. It gets to the last duel with pistols. And I would say the interesting part of the story is, without beating you over the head with it, it does showcase how obsession can ruin you. And maybe that's why you don't have a lot of inner monologues. Maybe that's why you don't have a lot of, the inner turmoil of Keitel and all this. So, in a weird way, it's a more subtle and still effective way of detailing it, because, spoiler alert, spoilers started now, spoilers, the last duel with pistols in these great, like, desolate remains of this castle that once was, and wide landscape. You see the foliage and really nice looking shots. Keitel fires his 2 pistols, doesn't hit him. Keith Carradine has 1 more pistol, could kill him, doesn't, and says, you know what, for 15 years I've been at your beck and call, no more. I win, right? So your life belongs to me. So I declare you dead. So you content yourself as a dead man whenever you see me. In other words, if you ever see me, you leave me the fuck alone. And so, bound by honor, whatever, that's what Harvey Keitel has to do. And what I mean by that is, by the end of it, you see where these guys are in their life now. Keith Carradine, who's just a normal guy, and I thought he pulled it off very well. I didn't buy Keith Carradine as a... I don't know if he's supposed to be British, French, what nationality. Maybe I didn't buy that, but I thought Keith Carradine was a good actor, so I could deal with it. I was fine with it. And I thought he had a nice presence in the film. So I think it helps that he was the star of it. And Harvey Keitel, God, that guy's been in so many films and has stole the show, whether it be Bad Lieutenant, he's great in that, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, among others. What I was saying is that by the end, the guy who just wanted to be left alone and did his job and was just normal, good guy, now he is with this lady he loves as part of a rich family and is a brigadier general, and he's doing very well for himself. He's got a kid on the way, he's got a home, he's happy. The last bit we see is him giving his wife an orange. Everything is fine and dandy with him. But Harvey Keitel, the guy who's been so obsessed with this stupid ass duel that you can even tell Keith Carradine's character's like, this is fucking stupid, but he's forced to do this throughout the years. Harvey Keitel, because of his obsession, he's now standing looking over the really good looking shot, looking over the water, looking over the landscape, I should say, by himself, alone. He's got no family. He is dismissed from the military because he was with Napoleon. Napoleon fell. He was ready to get executed, but I guess because Keith Carradine is a good guy, said, hey, could you not kill him? I guess just because he's a good guy, maybe for karma, whatever. So he can't be in the military. He's alone. He's got no family. He lost the duel, and he's got nothing left. So it's like Harvey Keitel's character looking out, like, what the fuck am I going to do now? He's got no more purpose. He's got no more, again, like I said, no family, no nothing. And it's like, well, yeah, that's where the obsession led you. Being in a predicament like this. And yet at the same time, I gathered that without it beating me over the fucking head. And again, maybe that's why there's not endless monologues and this and that. So the more I think about it, maybe that was for the right, maybe that was the right call, the right idea. It's not the typical way of doing it, but that doesn't mean it's a bad way. But like I said, there are portions I wish were extended, like him training with Talbot from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I'm not sure how I feel about the last duel being with pistols, because so much of the other duels is with a sword. I guess I would just assume that the last duel would be with a sword. And because each one seemed like something stopped it. And so I figured, oh, okay, it'd be a sword, and he master it, he's got it by the guy's neck, Harvey Keitel's neck, it's like, I could kill you, and then go through the whole thing. So I do kind of wonder why they went with pistols at the end, and not a sword. But I guess on the flip side, they technically had not done one with pistols yet. They had done stuff with swords. They did it on horseback. A duel. So I just, to be different and not the same thing. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of issues. Honestly, and this is a weird way of saying it, I thought this was a better version of Barry Lyndon. Like, Barry Lyndon got all this praise. Stanley Kubrick, I thought, was boring as fuck. And it doesn't share the same story, but it's a film that takes around the Napoleon Wars. And Barry Lyndon, I thought, was boring as fuck. Because you have a character that you're not supposed to like, but I didn't find him interesting either. This, I got the beautiful locales. I got the beautiful look of France and showcasing that time period with the costumes and the landscape. And throughout, it's only like an hour and 40 minutes, but yet it showcases this 10, 15 years. And I thought the acting was better. I thought the characters, while you don't get a lot of depth on the characters of either one, which some may call a detriment, but like I said, it was kind of nice how it was a fairly simple story told in this manner. And it is an interesting idea. Like, what if you had a guy who's obsessed with duels for 15 years, that he keeps following you and he keeps wanting to do, and you're like, oh fuck, again. That type of thing. So, and for a first film, Ridley Scott did a pretty damn good job. I could see why people be like, oh, okay, this guy has some potential. Let's see what he do with this film called Alien. And then, of course, that, I would say Alien, I would say that's Ridley Scott's best film. And Ridley Scott, I mean, I like Blade Runner. I love G.I. Jane. Black Rain's another good one. And there's a few others. Granted, I like his brother Tony Scott better in directing, but Ridley Scott has some good stuff. And I just named a couple. So, like I said, it's now nice that I was able to see Ridley Scott's first film. And I don't know, with the title like The Duelist, what's this about? But then once I got into him, okay, interesting, let's see where this goes. And the ending was satisfying enough for me. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.